Let her wait outside. We're having dinner. The voice of my daughter-in-law, Caroline, cut through the window like a knife. My own daughter-in-law had just condemned me to stand in the rain while they enjoyed their meal. I had been standing there for 3 hours. 3 hours getting soaked while my family ate warmly inside the house I had helped them buy. But that night, I made a decision that brought them to their knees the very next day. My name is Helen. I am 69 years old, and it all began on a Friday morning when I woke up filled with excitement. After 3 months without seeing my grandson, Leo, my son Ben had finally invited me to dinner. "Mom, come over today at 6. We really want to see you," he had said in that sweet voice that always melted my heart. I have been a widow for 5 years. I had worked my entire life cleaning houses, selling baked goods, doing whatever it took to raise my son, and now that he had his own family, I was still the one supporting them. Their bank accounts, the mortgage on the house, Leo's private school, the car payments, it all came from my pension and my life savings. But I didn't care. They were my blood, my reason for living. I got ready with such care that afternoon. I chose my maroon dress, the one that made me feel elegant despite my wrinkles. I put on my late mother's pearls and that French perfume I had bought on sale. I wanted to be perfect for my family. I walked to the toy store downtown and bought that new Transformer robot Leo had asked for the last time we saw each other. I also stopped by the French bakery for those little macarons that Caroline loved so much. The bags were heavy in my arms, but my heart was light with happiness. I took the number 43 bus, the same one as always. A 45-minute journey watching the city go by, imagining Leo's surprise when he saw his gift. It was a beautiful October afternoon. The sky was clear, and there was a soft breeze that reminded me of when Ben was little and we would go to the park to feed the pigeons. I arrived in their suburban neighborhood, the one that made me so proud because I knew my effort had made it possible for them to live there. I walked the 4 blocks from the bus stop to their house, that 2-story house with a garden, the house that had my name on the deed as a co-signer. I rang the doorbell at exactly 6 o'clock, just as we had agreed, and that's when my nightmare began. Caroline opened the door with a forced smile. She was wearing an elegant black dress that I had given her last month. "Hello, Helen," she said without inviting me in. "Look, you've come at a bad time. We have guests." "But Ben invited me to dinner," I replied, confused, feeling the bags grow heavier in my arms. Yes, but you know what? Just wait here a moment while I talk to him, okay?" And she closed the door in my face. I was left standing on the porch, not understanding what had just happened. I could hear voices inside, laughter, the clinking of glasses. It smelled of pot roast, of wine, of celebration, but I was outside. I waited 5 minutes, 10, 15. I rang the doorbell again. This time, Ben opened it, my son, my pride, the man for whom I had sacrificed everything. "Mom, what are you still doing here?" he asked with an uncomfortable smile. "You told me to come for dinner, son. Here I am." He glanced back over his shoulder as if consulting with someone. "Look, Mom, some of Caroline's friends showed up unexpectedly, and we don't have enough food. How about you come over tomorrow instead?" It felt like I had been slapped across the face. I had spent my last few dollars on those gifts. I had taken 2 buses. I had gotten ready with so much love. But son, you invited me. I brought gifts for Leo and— "I know, Mom, but please understand, it's complicated." Caroline appeared behind him with a glass of wine in her hand. "Helen, it really was a misunderstanding. It's better if we coordinate for another day. Yes, when we have more time to give you the attention you deserve. As if I were a burden, as if I needed to be attended to out of pity." Just then, I heard Leo's voice from inside. "Who is it, Daddy?" "No one important, son. Keep eating," Ben replied. "No one important." His own grandmother, no one important. "All right," I managed to whisper. "I'll go." But instead of leaving, I just stood there. I didn't know what to do, where to go. The buses didn't run as frequently at this hour. And then it started to rain. At first, it was a soft drizzle, little drops landing on my freshly styled hair. But within minutes, it turned into a torrential downpour, soaking my maroon dress, the one I had chosen with such care. I took shelter under the small overhang of the entrance, pressed against the door of my own family's home. I could hear their conversations perfectly from inside. Laughter, toasts, background music. "Who was that, honey?" I heard an unfamiliar female voice ask. "Ben's mother," Caroline replied with a tone of annoyance. "She just showed up unannounced." "But I invited her," my son protested weakly. "Oh, Ben, you know she makes me nervous when she comes over. She always finds something to complain about the house, how we raise Leo, everything." My heart broke a little more. What did I complain about? I had never said a word out of place. I always praised them, defended them, admired them. "Besides," Caroline continued, "you know how she gets when she drinks wine. She becomes so intense, so emotional." Intense? Emotional? They barely offered me a glass of water when I visited. The rain intensified, and I stood there like a wet statue, listening to them talk about me behind my back. "What if she gets sick out there?" Ben asked with a hint of concern. "Don't be dramatic. She's probably gone by now. Your mother is tougher than she looks." But I hadn't left. I couldn't leave. It was as if my legs had taken root in that marble porch I had helped pay for. An hour passed. Water seeped through my shoes. I could feel my clothes sticking to my wrinkled skin. I shivered from the cold, but something inside me refused to move. I rang the doorbell again. This time, they took a long time to answer. When they finally did, it was Ben, with an expression of annoyance. "Mom, are you still here? You're going to get sick. Son, please, just let me in to dry off. I promise I won't bother anyone. Look, Mom, the guests are uncomfortable. It's nothing personal, but I am your mother, Ben, the woman who gave you life, who worked day and night so you could go to college, who is still paying the bills for this house." His face hardened. "Here you go again. This is why Caroline doesn't want you coming over so often. You turn everything into a drama." "A drama? Asking for a little respect was a drama?" "Son, I just want to be with my family. Is that too much to ask?" "Ben, close the door. You're letting all the cold air in," Caroline shouted from inside. And my son, my own son, obeyed. He closed the door without another word. I stood there, in the rain, feeling tears mix with the water falling from the sky. The bags with the gifts were soaked, the wrapping paper dissolving in my hands. I walked over to the dining room window. Through the lace curtains I had given them last year, I could see the perfect scene. The table set with fine china, crystal glasses gleaming under the chandelier, elegant people chatting animatedly. There was my grandson Leo, sitting in his high chair, eating peacefully. My grandson, for whom I bought clothes, toys, for whom I paid for the most expensive school in the city. "Grandma loves you, Leo," I whispered, pressing my face against the fogged-up window. At that moment, Leo turned toward the window. Our eyes met for a second. He saw me there, soaked, shivering with cold. But instead of running to the door to hug me, he simply went back to eating as if nothing had happened. It was then that I heard the conversation that shattered me completely. "See? She's still there," Caroline said to her friend, pointing toward the window where I stood. "You're not going to let her in? Poor thing, she's drenched." "Not a chance. Let her wait out there if she wants. We're having a peaceful dinner, and I'm not going to let her ruin our evening." But she's the boy's grandmother. She's a very complicated woman, always wants to be the center of attention. If I let her in, she'll start with her dramas, her reproaches, her sob stories. "No, thank you." Ben intervened weakly. "Caroline, maybe we could—" "Could what? Let her in to sour our night? Your mother needs to learn she can't just show up whenever she feels like it." "But I invited her." "You invited her because you felt sorry for her, as always. But look at the situation she's put us in. Our guests asking what's going on." The child confused. Leo, my beloved grandson, looked up from his plate. "Why can't Grandma come in?" "Because the adults are talking about important things, sweetie. Your grandma is leaving soon." But I wasn't leaving. I couldn't. It was as if the pain had nailed me to the ground. 2 more hours passed. 2 full hours under that relentless rain that seemed to mock my misery. I couldn't feel my fingers anymore. The cold had seeped so deep into my bones that I wasn't even shivering. It was as if my body had accepted defeat, but my soul was still burning with humiliation. 3 full hours. 180 minutes of my life lost in that rain, while my family dined as if I didn't exist. Water streamed down my face, washing away the makeup I had so carefully applied. My maroon dress, the one that made me feel elegant, was now plastered to my body like a cold, wet second skin. The gift bags were a disaster. The wrapping paper had completely disintegrated, revealing the soaked box of Leo's robot. The macarons had turned into a soggy mess inside their elegant packaging. But what hurt the most wasn't the cold, or the rain, or the ruined clothes. It was the realization that to my own family, I was nothing more than a nuisance. Just then, I heard footsteps approaching from the hallway inside. My heart leaped with hope. Maybe Ben is coming to get me, I thought. Maybe he's realized what's happening, but it wasn't Ben. It was Caroline, walking toward the window with a glass of red wine in her hand. She approached the curtains and pulled them back slightly to look outside. She saw me there soaked, shivering, with the ruined bags at my feet, and she smiled. It wasn't a smile of pity or concern. It was a smile of satisfaction, as if she were enjoying my suffering. She stood there for a few seconds, watching me like one might watch a show. Then she calmly returned to the dining table. "Is she still there?" her friend asked. "Yep, like an abandoned dog," Caroline replied with a cruel little laugh. "But she'll get tired and leave eventually. Don't you feel sorry for her?" "Sorry?" "Not at all. She's a manipulative woman. This is all just theater to make us feel guilty." Theater? Manipulation? When the only thing I had ever done in my life was love my family, work for them, sacrifice everything for their well-being? Besides, Caroline continued, raising her voice so I could hear her clearly, it was about time someone set some boundaries with her. She's always believed that just because she pays for a few things, she can show up whenever she wants. A few things. As if the $5,000 I transferred to their account every month were just a few things. As if the mortgage on the house, Leo's school, the health insurance, the credit cards were just a few things. "If I were you, I'd let her in," the friend insisted. "She looks awful out there." "Well, it's a good thing you're not in my place. This is my house, and I decide who comes in." Her house. The house that had my name as a co-signer on all the documents. The house whose payments came out of my account every month. Ben appeared in the dining room. I could see his silhouette through the curtains. "Caroline, it's 9 o'clock. My mom has been out there for 3 hours. She's going to get sick. Then she should leave. No one is forcing her to stay. But she has no way to get home. The buses have stopped running. Then she can call a cab or walk. It's not my problem." Walking was more than 10 miles to my house, and a taxi would cost all the money I had in my purse. "Caroline, please. She's my mother. And for that very reason, she should respect us. But no, she always has to become the victim, the martyr we all have to worship." At that moment, Leo got up from the table and ran to the window. "Grandma! Grandma Helen!" he shouted, pressing his little hands against the glass. My heart thrilled with joy. My grandson had seen me. He was calling for me. But Caroline grabbed him by the arm and pulled him back. "Leo, no. Your grandmother is playing a game to make herself the victim. Don't pay any attention to her. But it's raining, and she's all wet. Sometimes adults do strange things to get attention. Your grandmother will leave when she gets tired of her tantrum." A tantrum. Standing in the rain waiting for my family to show me a minimum of respect was a tantrum. "Ben, control your son," Caroline told my son in an authoritarian tone. And Ben, as always, obeyed. "Come here, Leo. Leave your grandma alone." "But Daddy." "No buts. Your mother is right. Grandma will leave when she wants to." My grandson looked at me one last time through the glass. In his eyes, I saw confusion, sadness, but also something that broke my soul. Fear. Fear of disobeying his parents, fear of defending his grandmother. And in that moment, I knew I had lost them forever. The rain kept falling on my head, but I no longer felt it. The emotional pain had surpassed any physical discomfort. I pulled my cell phone out of my soaked purse. I had several messages from my neighbor, Sharon, asking how the dinner had been. "Everything okay, Helen? How is my handsome grandson?" I couldn't answer her. I had no words to explain what I was going through. Instead, I dialed another number. A number I knew by heart, but never thought I would use in a situation like this. The phone rang once, twice, 3 times. National Bank Customer Service. This is Patricia speaking. How can I help you? Good evening, I said, my voice cracking from the cold and emotion. I need to freeze some accounts. Of course, ma'am. Can you please provide your account number and social security number? My voice trembled. I didn't know if it was from the cold or from the decision I was about to make. With numb fingers, I entered the numbers the operator requested. Perfect, Mrs. Helen Miller. I see that you are the primary holder on several accounts and a cosigner on several others. Which ones specifically do you need to freeze? I took a deep breath. Through the window, I could see Caroline serving dessert to her guests. Leo was laughing at something one of the adults had said. Ben was making a toast with a glass of wine that probably cost more than I spent on groceries in a week. All of them? I replied with a firmness I didn't know I possessed. I want to freeze all the accounts where I appear as the primary holder or cosigner. I understand. May I ask the reason? It's for the official report. Suspicion of unauthorized use. I lied without blinking. Very well. I see here we have the payroll account ending in 4587, the savings account ending in 2841, and the joint accounts ending in 7890 and 5432. You also appear as a cosigner on a mortgage and 2 credit cards. Do you wish to freeze everything? Every number she mentioned was a piece of my life. The payroll account where my pension was deposited, the savings I had built dollar by dollar over 40 years of work, the joint accounts where Ben had access for household expenses and Leo's education. Everything, I repeated. Ma'am, I must inform you that this means no one will be able to make withdrawals, transfers, or use the associated cards until you authorize the unfreezing. Are you sure? Through the window, I saw Caroline rise elegantly from the table, with the grace that only comes from years of not worrying about money. She headed toward the kitchen, probably to pour more wine, completely sure. Perfect. The process will take approximately 2 hours to take effect. Do you need anything else? Yes. I want you to email me confirmation of all the blocked operations. Of course. Your request has been logged with case number 789456. Anything else I can help you with? No, thank you. I hung up the phone with a strange sense of peace. For the first time in 3 hours, I smiled. I walked away from the window and went to the front door one last time. I rang the bell insistently, as if it were an emergency. This time, Caroline opened it, clearly annoyed. Helen, what part of you can't come in did you not understand? I just came to say goodbye, I said with a calm that unsettled her. Goodbye? Yes, I've gotten the message. I'm not welcome in this house. I could see her expression change slightly. Maybe she expected tears, pleading, drama. Well, I'm glad you finally understood. I just want you to know one thing, I continued with a serene smile. Starting tomorrow, you're going to have to learn to live on your own resources. What do you mean by that? Nothing important. Just that I think it's time for you and Ben to become fully responsible for your expenses. Caroline scoffed. Please, Helen, don't threaten me. We know you can't live without us, without Leo, without Ben. Your entire life revolves around this family. You're right. My life has revolved around you. But tonight, that changed. Oh, really? And what are you going to do? Go live alone with your cats? I'm going to be happy, I replied simply. How dramatic. Please. Ben appeared behind her. Mom, are you leaving? Do you need money for a taxi? The same son who had closed the door in my face was now worried about how I would get home. I don't need anything from you, son. Not anymore. Don't be like that, Mom. You know how Caroline is when she has guests. We'll talk tomorrow. There's nothing to talk about, Ben. Why are you being so strange? It's as if something happened to you. I burst out laughing. A bitter but liberating laugh. Yes, something did happen. I realized I've been wasting my life. Mom, don't exaggerate. I'm not exaggerating. I'm being realistic for the first time in years. Caroline grew impatient. All right, enough. If you're done with your soap opera, we have guests waiting. Of course. Go back to your dinner. Enjoy your perfect life. I turned and started walking toward the street. Mom, Ben shouted. How are you going to get home? That's not your problem anymore, I replied without turning back. I walked in the rain, soaked, with the ruined gift bags dangling from my arms. But for the first time all night, I felt light. I reached the main avenue and hailed a cab. The driver, an older man, looked at me with concern. Ma'am, are you okay? You're soaked. I'm perfect, I answered, and it was true. The entire ride home, I couldn't stop smiling. In my purse, my phone vibrated with the confirmation from the bank. Dear customer, we confirm that all your accounts have been successfully frozen. No transactions can be made until further authorization. Tomorrow was going to be a very interesting day. I arrived home around 11 o'clock at night, completely drenched, but with a strange sense of freedom I hadn't felt in years. I took off the ruined maroon dress, had a hot shower, and put on my most comfortable pajamas. For the first time in a long time, I slept soundly, without nightmares, without worries about Ben's expenses, without anxiety about pleasing Caroline. It was as if I had left a 100-pound weight at the door of that house. I woke up the next day with the sun streaming through my window. It was 8 in the morning, and I felt renewed. I made my usual black coffee, toast with homemade jam, and sat on my small balcony to enjoy breakfast. My phone had been silent all night. I checked it and had no messages. That's strange, I thought. Ben usually texts to see if I got home okay. But then I remembered the night before and understood that things had changed forever. At 9:30, my doorbell rang. I looked through the peephole and saw my neighbor, Sharon, standing at the door with a bag of pastries. Good morning, Helen. How was dinner last night? You look very relaxed. I told her everything, every detail of my humiliation, every cruel word from Caroline, every moment in the rain. Sharon listened with her eyes growing wider and wider. I can't believe they did that to you, she said, indignant, after everything you've done for them. I don't care anymore, Sharon. For the first time in my life, I made a decision just for me. You froze all the accounts? All of them. And I don't plan on unfreezing them until they beg for my forgiveness on their knees. Sharon laughed. I love this new Helen. It's about time. We were chatting when my phone started ringing like crazy. It was Ben. Answer it, Sharon said with a mischievous grin. This is going to be good. Hello? Mom? What did you do? Good morning, son. How did you sleep? Mom, don't play dumb. The cards aren't working. Caroline went to the supermarket and all her purchases were declined. We went to the bank and they told us the accounts are frozen. Oh, really? Why did you do that? Because it's my money, Ben, and I've decided I no longer want to share it with people who disrespect me. Mom, don't exaggerate. Caroline was nervous about the guests. You know how she island? I know exactly how she island. That's why I made this decision. But you can't do this. We have bills, commitments. Leo's school tuition is due today. That's not my problem anymore. What do you mean it's not your problem? He's your grandson. My grandson who saw me in the rain yesterday and didn't lift a finger to help me. I could hear Caroline shouting something in the background. Caroline says that if you don't unfreeze the accounts, she's going to have to get a job. What wonderful news. It's about time. Mom, please, come to the house and we can talk. I am not setting foot in that house until Caroline apologizes for treating me like a stray dog. You're exaggerating. 3 hours in the rain is exaggerating? Ben fell silent. Mom, look, Caroline says. She says that maybe she misspoke yesterday. Maybe she misspoke? I repeated for Sharon to hear. My friend covered her mouth to keep from laughing. Yeah, you know how she is when she's stressed. Son, I'm going to tell you something, and I want you to listen carefully. For 5 years I have paid your mortgage, your credit cards, Leo's school, the groceries, the gas, the health insurance, the vacations, everything. And the only payment I have received in return has been humiliation. That's not true. No? When was the last time Caroline thanked me for anything? When was the last time you invited me to dinner without me having to beg? When was the last time my opinions were treated with respect? Ben didn't answer. Exactly. Never. But Mom, we're family. Family respects each other, son. And you both lost that right yesterday. I hung up the phone and put it on silent. Sharon applauded. Bravo. You gave me chills. I'm so proud of you. Thanks. But this is just the beginning. 30 minutes later, my doorbell rang. I looked out the window and saw Ben's car parked outside. Both he and Caroline got out and headed toward my door. They're here, I told Sharon. Do you want me to leave? Not at all. Stay. I need a witness. I opened the door before they could knock. Caroline's eyes were red and swollen as if she'd been crying. Ben looked desperate. Mom, please, we need to talk. We can talk right here at the door. Sharon is staying as a witness. A witness to what? Caroline asked in a broken voice. To whatever you're about to say. Caroline took a step closer. Helen, I am very sorry about yesterday. I was stressed with the guests, and I didn't think about the consequences of my words. Which words specifically? Well, when I said for you to wait outside. That's all? Caroline looked at Ben, seeking help. I'm also sorry for making you wait so long. How long exactly? I don't know. An hour? 3 hours, Caroline. 3 hours in the rain. Yes, 3 hours. I'm very sorry. And what else are you sorry for? What else? Caroline, you said a lot of things yesterday. That I was manipulative. That it was all theater. That I should wait outside like an abandoned dog. Caroline's face crumbled. I didn't say that. Yes, you did. And you also said I was a complicated woman. That I always wanted to be the center of attention. That you had to set boundaries with me. Ben looked at her, shocked. You said all that? Ben, it doesn't matter what I said. The important thing is I was upset, and I wasn't thinking. Yes, it does matter, I interrupted, because those words showed what you really think of me. Helen, please, just unfreeze the accounts, and let's forget all this. Number? What do you mean, no? I'm not unfreezing anything until you give me a real apology. On your knees. On my knees? Caroline was outraged. That's humiliating. Just as it was humiliating for me to stand for 3 hours in the rain, waiting for my family to grant me a shred of dignity. Ben intervened. Mom, be reasonable. Caroline already apologized. That was not a sincere apology. That was an apology of convenience. What do you want me to do? Caroline asked desperately. I want you to kneel, right here, in front of Sharon as a witness, and apologize for every single cruel thing you said to me yesterday. That's too much. Then there's no deal. I turned to go back inside my apartment. Wait, Caroline shouted. She looked at me with a mix of desperation and wounded pride. I could see the internal struggle between her need for the money and her resistance to humbling herself before me. Fine, she finally whispered. Ben looked at her, surprised. Caroline, you don't have to. Yes, I do, she interrupted, tears in her eyes. We have no choice. Slowly, very slowly, Caroline knelt on the floor of my entryway. Her knees touched the cold tiles that I myself had laid years ago when I bought this little apartment with my savings. Helen, she began, her voice cracking. I apologize for leaving you waiting in the rain. Continue, I said firmly. I apologize for calling you manipulative. And what else? Caroline took a deep breath, tears streaming down her cheeks. I apologize for saying it was all theater, for comparing you to an abandoned dog, for saying you were a complicated woman. And for what else? For saying I had to set boundaries with you, for not recognizing everything you've done for us, for disrespecting you in my own house. Sharon watched the scene with wide eyes. Ben looked uncomfortable, shuffling his feet nervously. And do you promise this will never happen again? I promise, Caroline whispered. I didn't hear you. I promise, she cried out in desperation. Get up, I said finally. Caroline rose slowly, wiping tears with the back of her hand. Her elegant dress now had dust on the knees. Very well. Now for part 2. Part 2? Ben asked, alarmed. Yes, the apology is just the first step. Now come the new rules. What rules? Caroline looked terrified. Sit down here in the garden chairs. This is going to take a while. Ben and Caroline sat like scolded schoolchildren. Sharon settled into her chair with a satisfied smile. Rule number 1, I began. I am no longer your personal bank. From now on, you will be responsible for all of your own expenses. But Mom, let me finish, Ben. Rule number 2. I will transfer money only for Leo's basic expenses, his school, his food, his clothes, but piano lessons, swimming, tutoring, and all those other extras are over until you can pay for them yourselves. Caroline turned pale. Rule number 3. No more expensive restaurants, trips, designer clothes, or whims paid for with my money. Helen, that's impossible. We can't live like that. Of course you can. Millions of families live with fewer resources and are perfectly happy, but we're already used to. Exactly. You are used to living above your means using my money. That is over. Ben interjected nervously. Mom, what if Caroline gets a job? Could you consider? Rule number 4, I continued, relentless. Caroline has 30 days to find a job. If she doesn't, I will cut off all financial support, permanently. 30 days? Caroline exclaimed. That's such a short time. It's more time than you gave me yesterday to find shelter from the rain. Sharon nodded in approval. Rule number 5. My visits will be by specific invitation only. No more come whenever you want, and then making me wait at the door. Okay, Ben muttered. Rule number 6. When you do invite me, you will treat me with the respect I deserve. No more making me feel like an unwelcome guest in the house I helped pay for. Yes, Mom. Rule number 7. Caroline will take a class on etiquette and respect for one's elders. That's humiliating. As was listening to your comments yesterday, Caroline looked at Ben, pleading for help, but he was too scared to contradict me. Rule number 8. You will open a savings account where you will deposit 10% of any income you have. It's time you learn to be financially responsible. But if we don't have any income? Caroline protested. Then you had better find a job quickly. Rule number 9. No additional credit cards. The ones you have are sufficient. And rule number 10, I said with a smile, is the most important of all. What is it? They both asked in unison. A single act of disrespect, a single humiliation, a single derogatory comment toward me, and everything is over. Forever. No second chances. The silence was deafening. Caroline was crying silently. Ben looked defeated, and Sharon was smiling proudly. Do you agree to all the rules? I asked. Yes, Ben whispered. Caroline? Yes, she replied through her tears. Perfect. Sharon is a witness to this agreement. If you break it, she can confirm it. Helen, Caroline said in a pleading voice, when will you unfreeze the accounts? When I see real results. When Caroline gets a job. When you treat me with genuine respect. When you prove that you have learned your lesson. And in the meantime, you'll have to manage with whatever cash you have. Ben took out his wallet and checked it. I only have $20. And I have 5, Caroline added. Then you had better manage that money well, until things change. Caroline stood up from her chair, trembling. And if I don't find a job in 30 days? Then you will have to move to a cheaper place, take Leo out of private school, and live like normal people live. You can't do that to us. Of course I can. It's my money, and I decide how it's used. Ben approached me, his face pleading. Mom, please, be flexible. Caroline will change. You saw she apologized. She apologized because she had no other choice. A real apology, from true remorse, is very different. What do we have to do to make you truly forgive us? Caroline asked desperately. Prove to me over the next few months that you really value what I've done for you, that you respect me not for my money, but for being the matriarch of this family. We will, Ben promised. I hope so. Because this is your last chance. They left that afternoon, empty-handed and with their heads bowed. I watched them walk away through the window, talking amongst themselves with desperate gestures. Helen, Sharon said when they were gone, you are my hero. I wish all women our age had the courage you just showed. The following days were revealing. For the first time in years, my phone didn't ring constantly with requests for money, complaints about expenses, or Caroline asking for a little transfer for some whim. The silence was beautiful. Sharon came over for coffee every afternoon. Word had spread in the apartment building about what had happened, and my neighbors congratulated me for setting boundaries. "Helen, we all knew that daughter-in-law of yours was bleeding you dry," said Mrs. Rosa from the 4th floor. "But we never thought you'd have the guts to turn off the tap." On the 5th day, Caroline appeared at my door. Alone, she looked haggard, with deep dark circles under her eyes and her hair unkempt, a far cry from the elegant, haughty woman of a week ago. "Helen, can we talk?" "We can talk right here in the doorway." "But it's private." "Caroline, after listening to everything you said about me to your guests, I don't think there's anything private left between us." She bit her lower lip nervously. "I've been looking for a job every day, and it's harder than I thought. I'm 35. I haven't worked in 8 years. I have no recent experience. Welcome to the real world." "Helen, please. Ben is desperate. Yesterday he had to borrow money from his coworkers to buy food. And what have you done to help?" "I've been filling out applications, going to interviews." "I don't mean that. I mean, what have you done to remedy the damage you caused me?" Caroline fell silent. "Exactly. Nothing. What do you want me to do?" "I want you to truly understand what you did. I want you to feel, even just a little bit, the humiliation you put me through." He already apologized. "You knelt because you had no choice. But you haven't shown a single gram of genuine remorse." Caroline started to cry. "What more do you want from me? I want you to go to every single person who was at your house that night and tell them the truth. Tell them you left me in the rain for 3 hours, that you treated me like an animal, that all of this happened because I am a woman who deserves respect." "That's humiliating." "Exactly. Now you know how I felt. I can't do that. They're my friends. I'd look like a what? A cruel woman who mistreats her mother-in-law? Because that is exactly what you are." Caroline wiped her tears with the sleeve of her cheap sweater. It was the first time I had seen her not wearing designer clothes. "If I do that, will you unfreeze the accounts?" "It's a first step, but it's not enough." "What else?" "I want you to seriously look for work, not online applications from your couch. I want you to go out every day, knock on doors, beg if you have to." "I'm already doing that." "Oh, really? Have you gone to clean houses? Have you asked in restaurants if they need waitresses? Have you considered working in a supermarket?" Caroline's face fell. "Those kinds of jobs are what? Humiliating? Just as it was humiliating for me to clean houses for 30 years so my son could go to college? As it is humiliating to work from sunup to sundown to support a family that doesn't value you?" "I didn't know." "Of course you knew. You just didn't care." Caroline stood there in my doorway, watching her world of privilege crumble. "Helen, I promise I will change." "Promises are carried away by the wind, Caroline. Actions are what count. Give me a chance." "I am giving you a chance. You have 25 days to get any job, and I want proof pay stubs, contracts, something tangible. And if I can't find one, then Ben will have to decide if he wants to stay married to a woman who is not willing to contribute to their home." Caroline's eyes widened in panic. "You would say that to him?" "I wouldn't have to. He would realize it himself. Please, Helen, I have a son. Leo is my grandson before he is your son. And he will be fine, because I will never abandon him. But you have to earn your place in this family." Caroline left that day, paler than when she had arrived. 2 days later, Ben came to visit me. He looked terrible, too, but there was something different about him, a humility I hadn't seen in years. "Mom, can I come in?" "Of course, son." He sat in my small living room, looking around as if seeing it for the first time. "Your apartment has always been so cozy," he said. "I don't know why I never noticed. Because you were too busy enjoying the house I helped you pay for. You're right. And you're right about everything that's happening." I looked at him, surprised. It was the first time Ben had ever sided with me in anything related to Caroline. "Do you really think so?" "Mom, these days without money have opened my eyes. Caroline has been hysterical, screaming at me that I'm useless for not being able to support my family. She has said horrible things to me. Like what? That I'm a failure. That if it weren't for your money, we never would have had the life we have. That she only married me because I had a rich mother. I felt a stab of pain. She said that to you? Yes. And worse. She told me all her friends laugh at us because we depend on an old woman. An old woman? Her words, not mine. I stood up from my chair, furious. Ben, that woman doesn't love you. She's using you. I know, Mom. I know that now. And what are you going to do about it? I don't know. I'm afraid of being alone, of Leo growing up without a complete family. Son, it is better to grow up in a home with one person who loves him than in a home with two people who hate each other. Ben started to cry. My 40-year-old son, crying like a child. Mom, I think I made a terrible mistake marrying Caroline. When did you realize? These past few days, when we had no money, when she had to face reality, she showed her true colors. She's selfish, cruel, materialistic. And yet, you chose to believe her instead of defending me. I know, and I regret it every day. Do you regret it, or are you just scared because the easy money ran out? Ben looked me straight in the eye. I regret it, because I lost the most important woman in my life for a woman who doesn't even respect me. For the first time in days, I felt like my son had come back to me. Son, I said, taking his hands, you have never lost me, but you do need to make some difficult decisions. Like what? Like deciding if you want to stay in a marriage where there is no love or respect. Ben sighed deeply. Mom, I'm scared. Caroline could take Leo. She could ask for alimony. She could. Ben, stop being afraid and start being brave. Do you think I wasn't scared when your father died and I was left alone with you? Do you think I wasn't scared when I worked 3 jobs so you could go to college? No, Mom. You were always so strong. I wasn't born strong, son. I became strong because I had no choice, and neither do you. At that moment, my phone rang. It was an unknown number. Hello? Mrs. Helen Miller? Yes, this is she. This is Monica Garcia, the principal at Leo's school. I'm calling because this month's tuition payment was declined, and we need to get the account current. I looked at Ben, who had heard the entire conversation. How much is owed? It's $1,200 for this month, plus $800 in accumulated fees. I understand. Could you give me until Friday to make the payment? Of course, ma'am. But after that date, we will have to suspend Leo until the situation is resolved. I hung up and looked at my son. Ben, do you have it? Mom, you know I don't. Then Caroline has 3 days to get a job, or Leo is out of school. You can't do that. He's your grandson. Exactly. He's my grandson. And I am not going to keep paying for his education so his parents can live like royalty without working. If Leo gets kicked out of school, you enroll him in a public school, like I did, like you did for the first few years. Caroline will never accept that. Then Caroline can find a way to pay for it. Ben stood up, desperate. Mom, help me one more time. I promise that after. No, son. The promises are over. Only actions. What do you want me to do? I want you to take control of your life. I want you to tell Caroline that if she doesn't get a job in 3 days, the marriage is over. That's so drastic. You know what's drastic? Leaving your mother in the rain for 3 hours. That's drastic. Ben was quiet for a long time. Would you help me if I divorce Caroline? I would help you raise Leo, help you get a smaller apartment, help you start over, but with conditions. What conditions? First condition, no luxuries. A simple, modest, responsible life. I accept. Second condition, you will value my effort and my sacrifice. You will never take me for granted again. I accept. Third condition, if you ever remarry, your new partner will respect the place I have in this family. I accept it all, Mom. Very well. Then go home and talk to Caroline. Tell her she has 72 hours to get a job, or the marriage is over. And if she says no, then you'll have your answer about what kind of woman she really is. Ben left that afternoon with a mix of determination and nervousness. I waited, knowing the next few hours would be decisive. I didn't have to wait long. At 11 o'clock at night, Caroline appeared at my door in a fury. Open this door, Helen. I opened it to find her disheveled, her eyes red with rage. How dare you put ideas in Ben's head? What are you talking about? He told me that if I don't get a job in 3 days, he's going to divorce me. Ah, he told you that. Yes, and it's your fault. No, Caroline, it's your fault for being a selfish freeloader. I am not a freeloader. Oh no? When was the last time you worked? When was the last time you contributed financially to the household? I take care of the house. I take care of Leo. Leo is in school 8 hours a day, and you have a housekeeper that I also help pay for. Caroline was left without an argument. Helen, please, don't destroy my marriage. I'm not destroying anything. Your attitude is destroying it. What do you want from me? I want you to go out tomorrow and look for a job, any job, and get one before Friday. That's impossible. It's not impossible. It's difficult. There's a difference. And if I get one, will you unfreeze the accounts? I will start to contribute gradually. But it will never be like it was before. What does that mean? It means you will have to live primarily on what you earn. I will only help with Leo's basics. Caroline started to cry with frustration. It's not fair. You know what's not fair? That a 69-year-old woman has to work to support 2 able-bodied adults. But we need you. You don't need me. You need my money. There's a big difference. Helen, please. Caroline, I'm going to tell you something, and I want you to burn it into your brain. If you don't go out tomorrow and seriously look for a job, if you don't have a source of income by Friday, I will unfreeze the accounts for one reason only, to help Ben divorce you. Caroline's eyes widened in terror. You would do that? Without hesitation. Because my son deserves a woman who loves him, not one who uses him. I do love Ben. No, Caroline, you love the comfortable life that Ben can give you thanks to my money. That's not true. Then prove it. Get a job. Support your family. And show that you can love Ben without my money in the picture. Caroline left that night, defeated, but with a clear ultimatum. The next morning, very early, I saw her leave her house dressed simply, carrying a folder of papers. For the first time in 8 years, Caroline was going out to look for a job. It was a start. Friday arrived faster than expected. I was having a quiet breakfast when the doorbell rang at 7 in the morning. It was Ben, with Leo by the hand and a small suitcase. Mom, can we come in? Of course. What happened? Caroline got a job, he said with a tired smile. Waitress at a restaurant. She starts today. I felt a mix of surprise and pride. I hadn't expected her to actually do it. So why do you have a suitcase? Because last night, Caroline and I had a very honest conversation. I told her we needed a fresh start, that I wanted us to go to couples therapy, that things had to change radically. And what did she say? Ben sighed deeply. She said she would rather get a divorce than live like a middle-class woman, that she didn't marry me to work as a waitress and live counting pennies. Seriously? She said that? Her exact words were, if your mother isn't going to maintain my lifestyle, then there's no point in us staying together. I was speechless. Caroline had shown her true colors without any pretense. And what did you say to her? That she was right, that there was indeed no point in staying together if she was only with me for the money. Leo, who had been quiet, came over to me. Grandma Helen, does Mommy not love me anymore? I knelt down to his level. Sweetheart, your mommy loves you very much. But sometimes adults can't live together because they think very differently. I'm going to live with you and Daddy? His little eyes lit up. You would like that? Yes, it always smells nice here, and you give long hugs. I felt my heart melt. Son, I said to Ben, are you sure about your decision? Completely. These last few days, I realized I've been living a lie. Caroline never loved me. She only loved the comfort I could give her thanks to you. And you don't regret it? Not at all. I feel free. My phone rang. It was Caroline. Should you answer? Ben asked. Of course. Helen. Yes, Caroline. Did Ben tell you? Yes. He told me you got a job. Congratulations. Don't congratulate me. It's horrible. 8 hours on my feet, rude customers, miserable tips. Welcome to the real world. Helen, we can fix this. I can keep working if you go back to helping us financially like before. No, Caroline. Ben has made his decision, but he can't support Leo alone. He won't be alone. He'll be with me. With you? What do you mean? I mean, Ben and Leo are moving into my apartment while he gets back on his feet. A scream came from the other end of the line. That's illegal. You can't take my son from me. I'm not taking anything. You decided that money was more important than your family. I'm going to sue. Go ahead. With what money are you going to pay for a lawyer? Caroline hung up, furious. Ben looked at me, worried. Do you think she can do anything legally? Son, a woman who abandons her family because she doesn't want to work is hardly going to win custody of a child. The next few months were some of the most beautiful of my life. Ben got a second, part-time job. Leo started at a public school and, against all odds, was happier than ever. Grandma, he told me one afternoon while we were doing homework, why was Mommy always angry before? Because your mommy didn't know how to be happy with simple things. I'm happy here with you. Really? Yes. There's no shouting here, no fights, and there's always good food. Ben had changed completely. He was more affectionate, more grateful, more present. At night, after Leo was asleep, we would stay up talking like we did when he was little. Mom, he told me one night, forgive me for all these years, for taking you for granted, for not defending you, for letting Caroline treat you so badly. You are already forgiven, son. Really? Really. Because in the end, all of this helped us find each other again. Caroline tried several times to get Ben to come back to her. She promised she had changed, that she now understood the value of work, that they could be happy with less money. But Ben didn't fall for her manipulations again. My mother taught me something very important, he told her, the last time Caroline came begging. She taught me that real love is not negotiated, it's not conditional, and it cannot be bought. A year later, I was on my balcony, watching Leo play in the small garden when the phone rang. Mrs. Miller? Yes. This is Leo's teacher. I just wanted to congratulate you. Your grandson is one of the most polite and happy children in the school. Thank you. And I wanted to ask if you would be interested in giving a talk to other grandmothers about parenting. Many are going through situations similar to yours. What kind of situations? Families who use them financially, children who don't value them, daughters-in-law who mistreat them. Your story has become very well known in the neighborhood. I laughed. My story is well known? Yes. The women your age really admire you. They say you gave them the courage to set boundaries. I agreed to give the talks. Every Saturday, a group of grandmothers comes to my apartment and we share experiences. Many have made decisions similar to mine, and their lives have improved considerably. Helen, Mrs. Carmen told me a few weeks ago, you taught us that it's never too late to reclaim our dignity. Just a few days ago, Sharon brought me a letter that had arrived in her mailbox by mistake. It was from Caroline. Helen, the letter said, it has been 2 years, and I finally understand what you tried to teach me. Working has made me value the things I used to take for granted. I have a boyfriend now, a simple man who loves me for who I am, not for what I have. I am not asking for your forgiveness because I know I don't deserve it, but I want you to know that you did me a favor. You forced me to grow up. I didn't answer the letter. Some wounds heal better in silence. This morning, while I was making breakfast, Leo wrapped his arms around my waist. Grandma, you know what? What, sweetheart? You're the strongest woman in the world. Why do you say that? Because Daddy told me that when I was little, my mommy treated you very badly, but you didn't stay quiet. You said no, and you saved us all. I smiled as I scrambled the eggs. He was right. That night in the rain, I didn't just save myself. I saved my son from a toxic marriage. I saved my grandson from growing up in an environment of falsehood. And I saved my own dignity. At 69 years old, I learned the most important lesson of my life. Self-love is not selfishness, it's survival. And it is never, ever too late to say enough is enough. 5 years have passed since that rainy night that changed my life forever. Today, as I write these words on my small balcony, I can see Leo, now 13, playing soccer in the park with his friends from public school. He is a kind, hard-working, and respectful boy. My story has become legendary in the neighborhood. Women stop me on the street to tell me how my example inspired them to set boundaries in their own families. Helen, Mrs. Peterson from the building across the street told me yesterday my daughter had been asking me for money for her whims for 10 years while treating me like dirt. After hearing your story, I told her it was over. Now she works as a nurse and visits me for dinner every Sunday. Our relationship has never been better. These stories repeat every week. I have, without intending to, become a sort of community leader for older women. I have a WhatsApp group called the Phoenix Group, where we share experiences and support each other. Ben has blossomed as a man and a father. He got a promotion at his job and now manages his own department. He lives in a small but respectable apartment 3 blocks from my house and comes for dinner every Wednesday and Sunday. Every visit is genuine, filled with conversation and laughter. Mom, he told me last Sunday, I never imagined that the most painful decision of my life would end up being the most liberating one. Are you referring to the divorce? I'm referring to choosing you over Caroline. For the first time in my adult life, I made the right decision. Caroline got married 2 years ago to an accountant she met at the restaurant where she worked. According to Sharon, who heard it through the neighborhood grapevine, they are expecting a baby. I'm glad to know she found her way, even if it was far from us. My financial life has completely changed. I am no longer the family bank, and my savings have grown impressively. I was able to remodel my apartment, travel for the first time in my life to see the beaches of Hawaii, and I even bought myself a nice used car. Helen, Sharon tells me, you look 10 years younger. It's true. I feel young, vital, powerful. At 74, I am living the best chapter of my life. Last month, a social worker from the city came to see me. They had heard about my story and wanted to offer me a position coordinating a program for seniors who are victims of familial financial abuse. Mrs. Miller, your case has become an example to follow. We need women like you to guide others. I accepted immediately. Now I work 20 hours a week helping other grandmothers reclaim their dignity. It is the most satisfying job I've ever had. Last week, an 80-year-old woman came to consult with me. Her son had kicked her out of her own house to sell it, promising he would take care of her, only to have her sleeping in a storage shed and acting as an unpaid nanny to his 5 children. Mrs. Miller, she asked, do you think at my age I can start over? Mrs. Davis, I replied, I started over at 69. You have all the time in the world. Last Sunday, Leo asked me a question that shook me. Grandma, do you think when I grow up, I'll treat my wife well? Why do you ask that? Because I remember how Dad used to let Mom treat you badly, and I don't want to be like that. Sweetheart, the very fact that you're worried about it means you're already different. I promise you, if I ever see you treat someone badly, I will call you on it. That conversation filled me with hope. Leo is growing up with solid values, seeing the example of a grandmother who respects herself and a father who learned to value the women in his life. This morning, as I had my coffee, I reflected on the journey. That night in the rain was my breaking point, but it was also my rebirth. I learned that it's never too late to say no, that true love includes respect, that being good doesn't mean being a fool, and that the family that mistreats you does not deserve your sacrifice. But above all, I learned that a woman can reinvent herself at any age. A journalist came to interview me last week for an article on elder abuse. Mrs. Miller, she asked, what would you say to a woman who is living what you lived through? I would tell her that her dignity is worth more than any comfort, that it is better to be alone and at peace than accompanied and humiliated, and that it is never, ever too late to start over. Do you regret anything? I only regret that it took me so long to fight back. The article was published last week, and my phone hasn't stopped ringing. Last night, while helping Leo with his math homework, he told me something that filled my heart. Grandma, my teacher asked us to write about our favorite hero. And who are you going to write about? About you. Me? Why? Because you're the only person I know who turned sadness into strength. Today, 5 years after that night that changed my destiny, I can say with certainty that I was brave, that I chose my dignity over comfort, that I saved not only my life, but the lives of my son and my grandson. And every time I see an older woman walking with her head held high, setting boundaries, respecting herself, I feel that my story was worth it. Because sometimes, A single woman who says enough can change the world.